So when you first starting, if you're like me and you're starting broke, low cash, right? Focus on stacking your cash, and we're gonna talk about exactly how you can do that. Let's say hypothetically you're starting out the way I started, meaning broke, so you don't have the money. All right, rentals is not gonna help you out because one, you're only cash flowing $200 per month on a traditional rental single family in most markets. And right now in 2024, interest rates on the market is like 7%, 8%. So most properties, I would say 90% of properties are not even cash flowing, they're negative cash flow. Hey guys, welcome to this Boom Effect podcast. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about the 10 top lessons I've learned within the last 5 years of me doing real estate. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Mamadou Diallo. I quit my corporate job in Belgium, Europe 5 years ago, and I jumped into real estate full time. And since then, I have done definitely over 6, maybe even 8 million in transaction in terms of real estate. And that includes fix and flips, buy and hold, doing wholesale deals. All right, guys. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything. And then top 10 lessons that I've learned so far. And so the first one is what, guys? Is rentals absolutely 100% sucks. I've done it. I still own some, but I don't do traditional rentals anymore. So I'm talking about traditional rentals specifically. And you guys know we've all been sold this dream that if you want, freedom, if you want financial freedom, just go out and buy, rentals, and then you're going to cash flow $200 a month. And, you're going to get all this like passive income. Guys, it is a lie. Get it out of your head, because number one, there's nothing passive about rentals. When you have rentals, you have all the headaches that comes with it, which is obviously tenant headaches, tenants not paying, and then obviously the property, things going wrong. You have AC units going off, you have water heaters going off. On this market alone in 2024, I've already sold over 4 of my traditional rentals, completely got rid of them, and I only kept the properties that are bringing high cash flow returns, which is midterm rentals and Airbnbs, and I do more midterms and even insurance tenants, right? So that myth of you going out, especially when you're new, buying rental properties and having financial freedom really quick, it is a lie. It's sold by gurus to sell you courses, which I'm not against, guys. I'm not against anybody who genuinely have knowledge that can benefit you and selling their knowledge. I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with would typically misunderstand this concept. So if you're just starting out, number one, let's say hypothetically you're starting out the way I started, meaning broke, so you don't have the money. All right, rentals is not going to help you out because one, you're only cash flowing $200 per month on a traditional rental single family in most markets. And right now in 2024, interest rates on the market is like 7%, 8%. So most properties, I would say 90% of properties are not even cash flowing, they're negative cash flow. So if you buy a rental right now, you just started, you don't have a lot of cash in the bank, right? Let's say hypothetically you have great credit, you go and you can borrow money, or maybe you have an uncle, a cousin, you can go raise private money and you buy a rental. In most markets right now, you can't even cash flow. You're barely breaking even. Why? Because the monthly might be $2,800, and the rental income, the rental rate in that area is also $2,500 to $2,800. That means you're breaking even. That means if the tenants stop paying, that means if a water heater goes off, that means like just on this property where I'm standing alone, this is my primary, and I absolutely bought it off market using none of my own money. I use creative finance. But guys, I already replaced 3 AC units. I've already replaced a bunch of stuff in this house that costed me over probably 30 grand alone. All right, guys. So when you first started out, what do you don't have? You don't have cash. For most people, I'm not talking to the person that, you have a great 9 to 5, you're making over 6 figures. And if the property, there's a lot of people that buy properties, whether it be attorneys, maybe like doctors, they buy properties for write-offs specifically. And that guru that is selling you the idea of you buying rentals and, making cash flow. Maybe you've been listening to too much to Bigger Pockets. They're talking about the Burr method, right? Those people, the guru is selling you a course. He's making 12 million a month selling a course, or maybe just 1 million, just for easy math purposes. He's making 1 million cash. Guess what he needs? He needs write-offs. What is write-offs? Write-offs is the IRS saying if you own rental properties, you can avoid paying taxes basically on your active income that you earn from your job or you earn from other businesses that you own. So a guru that have obviously a mentorship has been doing this for 40 years plus, obviously they can have a rental even if it doesn't cash flow and it's just breaking even. It's great for them. Why? Because they just have it for the write-offs. I have friends like that, right? They have shitload of cash. They don't need the cash flow. They just want write-offs. That's great for them. And also somebody who has over 6-figure type of 9-to-5, right? I have a friend like that in New York. He's one of my private lenders. He buys properties in New York specifically just for write-offs. So he doesn't care even if he's barely cash flowing on the property, because for him is more so, hey, I am working this 9-to-5. I'm in the medical field. I'm making a load of money on a yearly basis. I need write-offs. So he doesn't care, and it's a long-term play for him. He's going to sit on this property for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And maybe your grandpa sold you this dream, right? Go buy a home, get a mortgage, then you're financially free. It was true back then. Why? Because back then, maybe you buy a property at $40,000. By the time you're 30 years old, that house is probably worth 300, 400, 500. Really doesn't matter. But if you're just getting started right now, inflation is at its highest. People can barely afford gas or bread. And if you think going out here and buying rentals is going to give you financial freedom quick, guys, it is a lie. Don't buy into it. Okay, that's the first myth I want to dispel right now. So when you're first starting, if you're like me and you starting broke, low cash, right? Focus on stacking your cash. And we're going to talk about exactly how you can do that. Focus on the cash. Don't focus on the rental. Lesson number 2, guys, don't be over leveraged. Not only don't be over leveraged, even if you have great credit, I highly advise as a newbie, do not start. Absolutely don't start by flipping houses as a newbie, especially if you're doing it alone. I was lucky and fortunate enough on my first fix and flip, which I've done dozens of them at this point, right? The last one that I sold is probably 3 months ago here in Georgia, right? I started my flipping journey in Maryland. The first one that I've done, I did it with somebody who was already highly experienced. Not only that, he brought the money to the table to renovate the house, and he brought the general contractor and the experience. All I did is put the property under contract and bring it to him and say, hey, I want to have the experience. And we did a joint venture partnership. He brought the money and the experience, and I didn't have to deal with none of the headaches. I know over dozens of newbies right now that are in the verge of filing bankruptcy because they watch too much HGTV. And they thought flipping is sexy. You come in, you renovate the houses, you make it look nice, and you make 100 grand. Guys, fix and flips is a nightmare. It is a nightmare, and it can go left really quick. Why? Because 99.9% of general contractors, number one, that you're going to need to do the work, are scammers. They will run away with your money, especially if you don't have experience. They're going to inflate the receipts. They're going to inflate the renovation costs. You don't know what to look out for, and they know it, and they will take advantage of it. In the beginning, they will tell you, hey, yes, I can renovate the house for 50 grand. That happened to me on 2 renovation projects. Yes, I can do it for 50 grand. By the time I was done, one of them was in Washington, D.C. By the time I was done with that renovation, I had already spent $130,000. Why? Because they give you a cheap coat in the beginning just to get the contract and start the work. And then they start nickel and diming you. Hey, we didn't speak about this. Hey, I just saw this. I just found that. And then, maybe the granite countertops only cost $2,500. They charge you $5 grand instead. You don't know. You're new. So guys, stay away from fix and flips unless you're doing it the way I did it with somebody experienced. Even if you have access to the cash, you have good credit, and you can go to the lenders and they will lend you the money to do the fix and flip, and you know how to find the property. Remember, guys, most lenders, even hard money lenders, especially actually hard money lenders, they are in the business, most of them, to lend and foreclose. Even though you have the credit, you don't have the experience and none of these things, they will find a way to loan you the money and get the fees, because they get fees when they loan you the money, knowing full well that you don't have experience and you're going to end up stuck with this project. And the numbers doesn't make sense. I promise you, they will. I've seen a bunch of newbies call me and say, Mamadou, I am stuck with this property. I don't know what to do. The general contractor completely disappeared. Now I have 2 hard money loans on this property. I don't know how to pay it. I am late. I have a private lender that I owe money to. This almost happened to me, guys, on multiple different occasions. Luckily, I've always stayed away from hard money. I've always used private money, which is personal relationships. So stay away from, this is the only place, the only point where I agree with Dave Ramsey, guys, Uncle Dave, good old Uncle Dave. Most people are financially irresponsible and not disciplined enough, and you should completely stay away from debt in the beginning. Your number one goal should be stacking cash. And we're going to talk about which strategy you should focus on to be able to do that. So stay away from fix and flips and stay away from over leveraging yourself and chasing shiny object syndrome. Here's an easy way to start, guys. The fastest and simplest and best way to start and the easiest way to start is through wholesaling real estate. Because when you first getting started, most newbies that start, what we don't have is money. We don't have money. We don't have experience, and most of us don't have a license. That's how I got started. And the best way to start in this scenario is by wholesaling. Wholesaling, guys, is just finding an ugly house. Literally today, we just closed on a deal, and I'm going to make sure we add on this video all the screenshots. We just closed a deal today, and last week we closed on 2 of them. All these properties, all we did is put them under contract, and we sold that contract for cash. One of them was, I think, $16,000. The one today is $15,000 that we made just wholesaling the contract. We didn't even flush the toilet. Complete beat up properties. We're going to add not only the properties on this video, but we're going to add the screenshot of the closing so you guys see the check, right? Wholesaling is what you should focus on when you first getting started. Why? Because number one, it teaches you the experience that you want from A to Z. It teaches you how to find good deals. It teaches you how to negotiate deals at a discount. It teaches you the flow of a real estate transaction from A to Z, because you put it under contract, then you send it to the closing attorney or the title company. So you see the process of the closing. You deal with all the headaches. Sometimes the deal go through, sometimes it doesn't. You deal with sellers that gives you headaches. Some of them back out. Sometimes, like the deal that we closed today, guys, we started with a $200,000 spread, and we ended up making only $15,000. That's part of the game. But we've also wholesale deals within 7 days or 14 days, just selling the contract on a property that we didn't have to bring none of our own money because we just assigned a contract. That's what wholesaling is. And made $68,000, made $100,000 in January. We closed on one single deal and we made $100,000 net wholesaling just the contract. All right. So the first thing you want to focus on as a newbie is cash. Guys, cash is king. Cash is king. Don't buy into the myth of cash is trash. All this, what these gurus talk about. I don't care who the guru is. Take all your money and put it away. Cash is trash. Just reinvest it 100% in your business. Listen, if you're trying to build the next Amazon, I understand. Great. But cash is absolutely king. Why? Because number one, if there is a crash within the market and you have a bunch of opportunities, you can only capitalize on this if you have access to cash. Liquid, something you can get access to right now. I'm not talking about the paper cash per se, but you have to be able to access it quickly. And that doesn't happen in real estate, especially if you own your rentals, right? Single families, typically when the market is bad, guys, is the last thing that people want to buy. People just want to rent. They don't want to deal with it. So it's the hardest thing to get rid of on a bad market, on a bad market, like in 2024, as we're in right now, as I'm recording this video. All right, guys, focus on stacking your cash. So wholesaling allow you to do that. Let's imagine, right? The average wholesale fee nationwide, guys, is $15,000 on a deal. Sometimes you can make $30,000. Sometimes you can make $20,000. Sometimes you can make $100,000 on one single deal. I'm saying the average. It all depends on, your negotiation skill. It all depends on the location. It all depends on the spread. It all depends. Did you structure it cash or did you structure it using creative finance? If you don't know what that is, go check out my playlist on creative finance 101. So it all depends how you structure it and how deep you negotiate. But on average, nationwide, per deal, per wholesale deal, you should be able to make $15,000. Do the math. 15,000 times 12. If you only close in one deal a month, that's over 6 figures. If you stack the cash, I think right now, having experience, I dealt with the tenant not paying. Right now, as I'm standing here, I am foreclosing on one of my tenant buyers. I've evicted tenants. I've sold properties in super shitty areas. I'm sure you've heard gurus talk about you can go in, low income areas or areas where like the value of the property is below $100,000, and then you can cash flow with the 2% rule. That what that means is if you own a property and the value on that property is $100,000, your rent on a monthly basis is $2,000. That's a 2% rule. Yeah. On paper, guys, that sounds great. On paper, that sounds great. You can do that in Alabama. You can do that in Baltimore City, and I've done it. Here's the issue also that they don't tell you about, is that those tenants are more headaches. They defaults more. They destroy your property more. They scam you more, and you end up with more repairs. Like one time, one of the properties, guys, just one time, I've put like probably like maybe $5,000 on a monthly basis on the side in case something happens to the property. This is in Baltimore City. One time the basement flooded. The lady always leaving the door open, so rats got in. So many different things, and the repair costed me over $25,000. So 2 years of cash flow was out of the window. So those markets sounds great on paper, but trust me, there is way more headaches than actually cash flow. All right, guys. So I think, to me, a good metric, a good rule of thumb is for you to say, you know what? I am going to focus on my cash stacking first. I'm going to stack. So I'm going to wholesale and put money on the side. Like, let's say, for example, you can take 80% of every wholesale fee, put it on the side, and only spend 20%. And stack that 80% till you get $100,000 cash laying down in your bank account. You can open your bank account and see $100,000 cash laying down before you ever buy your first rental. Why $100,000? Because if you have $100,000 laying down, right, that gives you a huge amount of leverage if the tenant defaults, if it doesn't go as planned, if Airbnb changes the rule because you're doing Airbnb and now you can't do that anymore. You can afford to keep up with the mortgage. You can afford to keep up with the repairs. You can afford to keep up a couple of months of vacancy, whatever. Not only that, if there is an opportunity, guess what, guys? Especially once you learn creative finance, you can use some of that money and get into those deals. You can use that account as a bragging account to raise money from private lenders. It's way easier for a private lender to lend you money so you don't have to use none of your own money if you can show them that you're disciplined with your own money. It only makes sense. I am disciplined with my own money. Look at this account. I have $100,000 laying down. I've been saving it. I've been wholesaling, blah, blah. So guys, focus on your cash. Don't buy into this guru's myth. Cash is king. They're telling you cash is trash while they have $10 million cash that they don't know what to do with. So they're telling you cash is trash, but they're making money with their online courses. They're making money with their events that they're organizing. So they're selling tickets. They're making money with consultations. You don't have none of that yet. And so if you have all these rentals with all these expenses and you barely have $100 to keep up with your bills, I've made that mistakes in the beginning, guys. Don't do it. It's definitely not worth it. The stress is not worth it. Focus on stacking cash. Cash, cash, cash. Cash is king. Anybody who tells you otherwise, when I say cash, I'm not talking about the dollar bills, okay? This is not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about liquid, being able to be liquid. So investing in, even if you invest the money, but investing in things to where if I see an opportunity tomorrow, I can sell it and get my money. That's what I mean by cash, all right? If you also have an account, great, all right? Lesson number 3, marketing. Guys, real estate investing is 100% sales and marketing business. I'm going to repeat. Real estate is a 100% a sales and marketing business. Real estate is a 100% sales and marketing business. What do I mean by that? Every single property we get, guys, every single buy and hold that I own, every single flip I've ever done, it's marketing. I had to network with people, right? I had to network with like wholesalers. Maybe they send me an opportunity. I had to send out marketing. Like I had to do texting, cold calling. I had to put out banner signs, right? I had to go on Facebook. And so it's marketing. And then the sales side comes to you when a seller raises their hands and say, hey, like for example, my primary residence here was from a motivated seller who was in foreclosure. He's facing foreclosure because he was behind $16,000 on his mortgage. So he needs somebody to come and help him solve that problem. And so once you start having those conversations, you have to be able to communicate effectively. That's all sales is, guys, is effective communication. Most of you guys, English is your first language, but you don't speak English. You have to learn how to communicate effectively. You have to learn how to solve people's problems. That's where your deals going to come from. So 100% of your best deals will come from marketing. So you have to be really good at marketing. Now, one thing in 2024, I have to say is that you don't really have to be a great marketer. And here's what I mean by that. If you're starting out with money, then you're lucky because leverage is your best friend. What I mean by that is if you're starting, you already have money. Let's say, for example, you have a great 9-to-5 or you already own another type of business. You can take the money and already invest in marketing because there is third-party companies that sells leads, right? So a motivated seller that have a home and they're looking to sell it and they have motivation, we call that a motivated seller, right? So these companies will literally serve you those leads in a platter, in a plate, on a plate. So you can pay third-party companies. None of these companies pay me, by the way. We're testing out some of them right now, but we call this inbound leads, meaning now the seller come to you. You have Leadzolo, you have, I think, InvestorLift sell leads. You have a bunch of them, guys. Just look at it. Just look at PPL companies. All right, guys? So with that being said, if you're just starting with money, you don't even need to be a great marketer, but you 100% absolutely have to be a great salesperson. Because as much as you can spend money, on average, you can spend between $2,200 to $2,300 per contract. That means you have to buy at least 10 to 12 leads in order to be able to close one seller under contract and then wholesale it and make cash. So most people don't have that. But if you have it, then you're lucky. That means you have leverage. Not only you can do inbound leads by paying a marketing company, so you don't have to be the marketer, so you can focus on the sales side. But when the sellers get on the phone with you, you better be good at closing, because otherwise you're just going to drain your money out of the window. So if you're not good at sales and you have the money, still stay away from it and do the hard work, which is the outreach, the texting, the cold calling, because at that point, you're the one who's being proactive and you're calling the seller, and it's the cheapest way of marketing if you're starting broke. Or you're starting with money, but you don't have sales experience. Okay. So if you're reaching out to the sellers, is way cheaper. So you're not burning a lot of money and you get those reps in, you cold call, you talk to sellers, you make mistakes. Maybe you reach out to people that have experience, right? And you JV with them and they help you talk to the sellers, which is how I started in the beginning. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know nothing about real estate. I didn't know how to close a seller. So every single time I run into a seller that said, yes, I have motivation, I'm looking to sell, somebody passed away, whatever the rate, I'm a tired landlord, I reach out to somebody that have way more experience than me on the phones and jump on the three-way with me and help me talk to the seller. All right, guys. So, but it's a pure marketing and sales business. It's a people's business. So you're going to have to build relationships with not only the homeowners in one way, shape, or form. You're going to have to build a relationship with real estate agents. So there's such thing as agent outreach. This is when I have friends that this is the whole business model is reaching out to real estate agents on listings that they cannot sell, or fixer-uppers that they have listed they cannot sell, or off-market packet listings that they haven't listed yet, but they're about to list it. So they do texting, cold calling to these agents and negotiate with the agents and wholesale the deals. You can do that, or you can go direct to the sellers or finding the homeowners themselves. All right, guys? And the data is easy. All data is public. I've done a whole playlist showing you guys exactly how you can find your hottest neighborhoods, zip codes, and then how you can market it. Make sure you go check it out. So a couple of different marketing strategies, right? The only way, like I just said earlier, is the inbounds. We already spoke about that. The outbounds is when you're reaching out, you have the texting. So you can do texting, text blast, we call that. You can do cold calling. These are the cheapest and simplest way to do it if you don't have a lot of money. You can do JV deals. JV deals is you go, you know what? I don't have any money. I cannot even skip trace a small list and cold call it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on finding cash buyers. I'm going to create a whole list, and I am going to find wholesalers that have contracts, but they don't have cash buyers, and I'm going to help them sell the deals. That's one way of JVing. So I'm going to come to somebody like, say, Steve, right? Steve have a contract. He doesn't have a cash buyer. I'm going to look at it and go, okay, this is a good deal. Hey, Steve, I have a buyer for you. Would you mind if I bring a buyer and buy these deals, and we're going to make, let's say, $15,000? Would you mind us splitting that $15,000 in two? Because I'm bringing the buyer and you're bringing the property contract. People do this all the time. That means you're focusing on disposition. You can do it the way I did it in the beginning. I didn't want to do dispo, but I did JV on acquisition. Why? Because I was like, you know what? this marketing thing is draining me financially because I quit my corporate job. I'm just doing Uber and I don't want to spend a lot of money on skip tracing and buying the list and all these things. How about what I do this? How about I just find new wholesalers that are maybe not so comfortable being on the phone and talking to homeowners, and I can talk to anybody. I don't care who you are. Even if you're Bill Gates, if you have a property to sell, I don't mind getting on the phone with you. The worst thing that can happen to me is you tell me no. And so I knew I had that self-confidence, even though I didn't have a lot of experience. So what I started doing is posting on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and saying, hey guys, if you're putting out marketing and you're getting leads, but you're too afraid to talk to the sellers, I am not afraid. Get me on a three-way and I'll talk to your seller and I'll help you close the seller. That not only made me a better communicator, not only made me perform better on the phone because now I know there's somebody on the three-way listening to me, helping them close the seller and they're counting on me. So that forced me to get out of my comfort zone and be better on the phones. But that was also a JV. So that means if I jump on the three-way and I convince the seller to sell this property, we write up a joint venture agreement and then we go on the closing table, and I've done over like 100 transactions like this where now we split the fee 50-50, 60-40, 30-40, depending who does what. So I did the acquisition, lock up the seller. Did he sell the contract, or did I also have to step in and help to sell the contract? Remember guys, whatever you agree on and sign on paper goes. It's up to you guys to decide. But that's another way you can do it. You have bandit signs. Bandit signs is when, I'm sure you've already drove past by it at a stop sign. You see this like paper bandit signs that says we buy houses cash. That is wholesalers that put it out there for homeowners to reach out to them. You can do it that way. Now, that's on the expensive side because typically it's about $1 per bandit sign. So not everybody can afford it. My team does it, but that's because now I'm scaled and I have a team. All right. You have referrals. Referrals is one of the most organic way to get deals. Referrals, you can get like probates, for example. So you can reach out to attorneys, probate attorneys, divorce attorneys, and say, hey guys, I know you deal with divorce cases or probates where somebody passed away and left the property and the family members don't have the money, they don't know how to clean it, they don't know how to find a GC, all these things, or maybe a divorced couple, they need to sell the property because it's a nasty divorce. I can help. Not only I have all the resources to help clean, to help change the locks, whatever. Guys, you don't have to have it. Just connect them with the people. I'm not saying you have to be the person that does it. Connect them with the cleaners. Connect them with the person that changed the locks. Connect them with the person that renovated the property. Guess what? 99.9% of these sellers end up selling anyway. And if you can become of a resource, guess who they're going to sell the property to? You. You can then put it on the contract and then sell the contract. So you can reach out to attorneys and just say, hey, I provide these services. And if you have clients this way, I can help them out. Here is my card, here is my email, whatever the case may be. That is referral, because once the attorney sends you that, that's a referral. I used to create referrals from my Uber, guys. Anybody who jumped into my Uber, I used to tell them, hey, just so you know, I'm also in real estate, and if you ever see an ugly house and you send me the address and I end up getting the contract, I'll pay you between $2,500 to $5,000 referral fee if I end up getting the deal. Guys, this is how I got my first deal, made $68,000, just repeatedly telling this to my clients in my backseat. That's all I was doing. All right, guys? So don't hesitate. You have that as well. So boom, only two ways you can make money in real estate is either you have money, you use leverage, or you're broke and just put in the sweat equity. There's no magic stick. All right.